From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Welcome. Tonight, Governor Seyi Makinde receives 44 rescued or abducted victims, pledging medical care, rehabilitation, and safe reunification with families as recovery begins under Oyo government support. Family, dignitaries, and political leaders honor former President Muhammadu Buhari at one-year remembrance as Vice President Shatima extols his integrity, selflessness, simplicity, and enduring nation-building legacy. Court of Appeal Abuja upholds judgment barring INEC from recognizing or participating in ADC state congresses organized by committees appointed by David Mark's caretaker leadership. And Donald Trump reinstates Iran port blockade, imposes 20% transit charge through the Strait of Hormuz. On business news, Nigeria's oil production hits a 6-year high as output rises to 1.56 million barrels per day in June.
On sports news tonight, Super Falcons training camp opens in Casablanca 12 days before the commencement of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco.
And from the nation's capital, former Minister Nnaji pleads not guilty to 6-count forgery charges involving alleged fake UNN degree and NYSC certificates submitted during 2023 ministerial screening. We begin tonight in Oyo State, where the Governor Seyi Makinde has officially received rescued teachers and students from the Ahore Sile and Yawota communities in Orire local government area of the state. They're receiving all 44 persons at the Exco chambers of the Governor's office in Ibadan, the state capital. Governor Makinde says the government and the people of Oyo State owe the entire world gratitude for standing against terrorism. He gave the assurance that every necessary support will be provided for, while also appreciating President Tinubu for his support. Our correspondent, Bukola Oriewo, reports.
This is what a victory march looks like. Though frail, emaciated, and visibly shaken, survivors are lights from the bus, mustering a sense of purpose they barely possess. The Orire 44 have finally regained their freedom. After 56 days of unimaginable hardship and isolation, they are back on safe ground. Freedom came at a staggering cost. Of the 46 taken, teachers Michael Oyedoku and Deacon John Olaleye paid the ultimate sacrifice. 5 security agents, Amotekun officers, local vigilantes, and brave hunters also perished in the struggle. In his address, Governor Makinde extended profound gratitude to every individual who joined the chorus, calling for these lives to be saved, while specifically acknowledging President Tinubu's pivotal support.
On behalf of the government and the people of Oyo State, say thank you to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for his support in seeing this through. Also, all the the leadership of these security agencies in Nigeria. I'm still short of words because this has happened all over the country with its challenges. But when it came to Oyo State, it was totally different.
The General Officer commanding 2 Division, Major General Chinedu Nebefe, commended the exceptional bravery displayed by all participating personnel, extending a salute from the tactical ground teams to those in the air and those at sea to their commanding officers.
So the operation is a complex one. It lasted for more than a month, and it focused mainly on identifying the terrorist kingpins that masterminded the crime. We focused on also dismantling their network and cutting off their logistics and the informants within the Oyo National Park and other parts of the country. At the last phase of the operation that we had was blocking their major logistic hub. And I'm sure I'll mention the town called Ashamu. To block the place and finally put pressure on them. And it was now they willing to release unconditionally. But we are not giving up on them. We say, no, it's not about releasing. We must see to the end of the terrorists operating in that particular region. And of course, indeed, the whole part of the country. And to the glory of God, we have them here.
The GOC issued a stand directive noting that an urgent review of local hunter and vigilante activities is required as investigations reveal some elements were compromised during the crisis.
Maybe at a good time we'll sit down with His Excellency and the Ramoni, we'll work out this issue of vigilantes and of course, even within our system, we have the bad ones among them. So we have to really look at some of those local vigilantes and hunters because from all we see, there was a lot of collaboration from some of them.
In an emotional address that belied her physical frailty, Mrs. Rachel Alamu, the school principal forced to act as the terrorist public conduit, expressed profound gratitude for their release while candidly confirming the deep psychological scars left behind.
When we started, the first week, we were bringing biscuits for them, maybe to make them comfortable. But along the line, that stopped. Then we had to move from one point to another. And that was a major problem we had. When the place is discovered, we have to move. And that starts around 7, 8 in the night. Sometimes we walk 3, 4 hours. That is most of the bruises you see on our body.
Governor Makinde has requested a 48-hour window to finalize medical and psychological assessments for the survivors. He assured families that despite this brief observation period, they would have controlled access to their loved ones. Bukola Oriowo, Channel Television News.
Meanwhile, Governor Seyi Makinde has called for investigations into the abduction of the now rescued teachers and students from Orire local government area of the state. And according to him, Nigerian people deserve a full and transparent account of what happened, who was responsible, whether there were institutional failures, negligence or collusion at any level, and what measures must be taken to ensure that no community is ever subjected to such an ordeal again.
The reunion of these children and teachers with their families does not mark the end of this painful chapter. It marks the beginning of another responsibility, our collective responsibility to establish the truth. The circumstances surrounding this incident are sufficiently grave and unusual to warrant independent scrutiny beyond our domestic institutions. I therefore, with a full sense of responsibility as the Executive Governor of Oyo State, call on the appropriate international human rights and accountability mechanism, including those within the United Nations system, to closely examine the facts surrounding this abduction and the circumstances of its resolution. Such scrutiny is not intended to undermine our institutions. Rather, it is intended to reinforce public confidence that the truth will be established and that every person found to bear responsibility, regardless of office, influence, or affiliation, will be held accountable.
And as reactions continue to trail the rescue of the abducted school teachers and children from Oyo State, the Nigeria Union of Teachers is asking government at all levels to prioritize security of schools across the country. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the national president of the union, Comrade Audu Amba, described the rescue of the abductees as a commendable development, while also stressing the urgent need to secure the release of the 42 school children abducted from Musa in Askira Uba local government area of Borno State, along with others who remain in captivity.
The atmosphere at the national headquarters of the Nigeria Union of Teachers radiates joy and excitement as the teachers sing songs of solidarity over the rescue of the abducted school children and teachers from Oyo State.
There is victory for
Although the abducted school children have regained freedom, the Nigeria Union of Teachers believes abducted students from other states deserve urgent attention.
The NUT is particularly alarmed by the recent adoption of 42 school children from Musa in Askira Uba local government area of Borno State, as well as the adoption of 1 teacher and 36 students, and the killing of 2 teachers in Lassa, Borno State. These attacks have left many families devastated, disrupted the education of thousands of children, and deepening the already existing learning crisis confronting our educational system. Again, this incident further demonstrates that schools remain attractive target for terrorists, bandits, and other criminal elements.
The issue of intermittent attacks on schools is also of concern to the union.
The kidnapping and killing of teachers and learners constitute gross violation of fundamental human rights and represent a direct assault on every child's constitutional right to equal education. The union, therefore, calls on the federal government, state government, security agency, and all relevant stakeholders to, as a matter of urgency, 1, intensify effort to rescue all teachers, learners, and other innocent Nigerians still in captivity. Full implement and strengthen the Safe School initiative across the country. Deploy adequate security personnel and modern surveillance system to vulnerable schools.
With the rescue of the abducted school children from Oyo State, the Nigeria Union of Teachers believes government at all levels can be more proactive to prevent more abductions.
We head to the courts now, where Justice Mohammed Umar of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has turned down the application of the presidential candidate of the Action Alliance of Nigeria, Omoyele Sowore, seeking a long adjournment of his trial in the alleged defamation of President Bola Tinubu filed against him by the Departments of State Services. Mr. Sowore, through his lawyer, Raphael Adakole, who applied that his defense in the charge be shifted till after the court's annual vacation, a request which was opposed by counsel to the DSS and Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Akinlo Lukende, who drew the attention of the court to 10 previous adjournments in the trial suffered at the instance of the defendants. In a brief ruling, Justice Umar turned down the long adjournment application based on the previous order of the court. The judge subsequently ordered Mr. Sowore to be in court on July the 16th, the continuation of his defense. But earlier, Mr. Showore's first witness, an Abuja-based lawyer, Mr. Deji Adeyanju, had in continuation of his evidence insisted that President Bola Tinubu, during an official engagement, said that citizens have the right to insult, abuse, criticize, and call him names, and that law enforcement agencies should allow citizens exercise their rights as part of democracy. The case has now been adjourned till July the 16th, the continuation of the defense by Mr. Sowore. In part two, after the break, Court of Appeal Abuja upholds judgments barring INEC from recognizing or participating in ADC state congresses organized by committees appointed by David Mark's caretaker leadership. Please join us again.
Life is good.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Governor Seyi Makinde receives 44 rescued or abducted victims, pledges medical care, rehabilitation and safe reunification with families as recovery begins under Oyo government support. Families, dignitaries and political leaders honor former President Muhammadu Buhari at 1 year remembrance as Vice President Shatima extols his integrity, selflessness, simplicity and enduring nation-building legacy. The Court of Appeal Abuja upholds judgments barring INEC from recognizing or participating in ADC state congresses organized by committees appointed by David Mark's caretaker leadership. And President Donald Trump reinstates Iran port blockade, imposes 20% transit charge through Strait of Hormuz. We head to Plateau State now, where days after a deadly attack claimed the lives of 9 members of the same family in Rereng Camp in Kum communities of Riyom local government area, grief still hangs over the affected villages. As survivors struggle to come to terms with the tragedy, residents are renewing calls for urgent government intervention to end the recurring violence. Our correspondent, Percy Dabang, visited the community and now reports.
Tears flow freely as grieving relatives gather outside homes now defined by loss rather than laughter. The scars of the attack are everywhere. Bloodstains remain on the floors, bullet holes puncture the door, and empty rooms bear silent testimony to a night of terror that claimed 9 members of the same family, including women, children, and a 3-month-old baby. Among those who lived to tell the story is Kacholom Pam. She says she escaped with her children as gunmen opened fire on the community, but her husband was struck by a bullet and is currently receiving treatment.
They started shooting sporadically here before going to the next house where they killed people. We started running with our children. One fell to the ground and the other found a place to hide. My husband was running behind us when he was shot.
The attack has left more than emotional wounds. Community leaders say repeated attacks have displaced families, disrupted farming activities, and left residents living in fear.
It came to us as a surprise, even though our neighboring communities, some of them have experienced this kind of attack, but we never envisaged it. During the attack, you realize that drones will be flying here and there. You don't know who fly those drones. So we feel that if care is not taken and properly checkmate, you will find out that there are criminal elements that have advanced to, flood this kind of drones.
Not safe. We're not safe. That is why we're calling on government to intensify the security so that they should give us hope to stay in the community because we are not safe.
For many residents, each attack deepens the pain of previous losses. While they continue to mourn, they say what they need most is not sympathy, but lasting security that will allow them to live and farm in peace once again.
The pain in this community is impossible to ignore. Survivors are still struggling to come to terms with another deadly attack that has claimed 9 lives with a 3-month-old baby. The urgent question is not who will be next, but when lasting peace will return. From Kum community in Riom local government area of Plateau State. Percy Dabang, Channels Television News.
And away from security matters, Vice President Kashim Shettima, former heads of state, General Yakubu Gowon, state governors, family members and associates are among dignitaries who attended the one-year remembrance of late former President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja. Speaking on behalf of President Bola Tinubu, the Vice President praised the former President's commitment to nation building and for his virtues of integrity, selflessness and simplicity. Our State House correspondent Empress Simon reports.
It's now 1 year since former President Muhammadu Buhari passed away, and this memorial gathering, organized by his family, former aides and the government, brings together dignitaries including Vice President Kashim Shettima, former head of state General Yakubu Gowon, state governors, religious and traditional leaders to reflect on his legacy and pray for the repose of his soul.
Today is not merely about recalling the passing of a former president. It is an occasion to reflect on the life of service, to preserve for future generations the memory of a man who devoted much of his adult life to the service of Nigeria.
Guests take turns to pay glowing tributes to former President Buhari.
President Buhari never regarded the suffering of Borno as a distant national issue. He regarded it as a personal responsibility and a collective duty of government. His numerous visits to our state, even under difficult security circumstances, offered reassurance to our people that they had not been forgotten.
Former head of state General Yakubu Gowon recalls some of his memorable experiences with the former president.
He certainly told that all the states are treated equally, all parts of the country are treated equally and fairly. And so this is the credit and the praise to him.
After the tributes, prayers from both Muslim and Christian clerics follow.
Our old prayers offered here today light up his grave, serve as a source of mercy and relief for him.
We pray that this day of remembrance and reflection shall serve as a further comfort to his dear wife and the children.
Presenting President Bola Tinubu's remarks, Vice President Kashim Shettima says late Muhammadu Buhari lived a selfless life, putting the nation's interest above personal interest.
He gave everything he had to this country, and he gave it without reservation. He served with courage. He served with conviction, and with a patriotism that never asked what the nation could return to him. From his years as a military leader to his transformation into a democrat and a determined defender of constitutional order, he embodied the very spirit of change and of nation building.
Highlight of the event is the unveiling of a book of tributes and condolences in honor of former President Muhammadu Buhari, with inputs from within and outside Nigeria. From the Nigerian Army Conference Center, Abuja, Empress Simon, Channels Television News.
Into judicial matters, we head to the Court of Appeal in Abuja Division, which has affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court Abuja, which restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from recognizing or participating in any state congresses organized by committees appointed by the Senator David Mark-led caretaker leadership of the African Democratic Congress. A three-member panel of justices of the Appellate Court, in a split decision of 2-1, upheld the restraining order issued by the trial court judge, Justice Joyce Abdul-Malik, on April the 29th, 2026. It further upheld the order of the trial judge, which restrained the Mark-led executives from interfering with the tenure and functions of parties' elected state executives. The Appellate Court, in a majority judgment delivered by Justice Okon Abang, held that the responsibility of conducting state congresses of political parties rests with elected state executive committees, not with the national leadership. The majority judgment further dismissed the complaints of the appellate that the subject matter of the suit was an internal affair of the party. In a minority decision, the actions of the first to seventh respondents in the appeal was premature and failed to exhaust the internal dispute resolution of the party before filing the suit. And that's according to Justices Abang and Donatus Okorowo. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission is again assuring Nigerians that votes will count come 2027, when Nigeria will be going to the polls to elect political leaders into office. Well, INEC's National Commissioner, Mr. Mohammed Haruna, gave this assurance in Abuja while flagging off the FCT Mega Voter Registration Center. The electoral body also asked eligible voters who are yet to register to make good use of this registration window ahead of the election.
This mega registration center is one of the registration points in the Federal Capital Territory, as INEC and civil society organizations mobilize eligible voters to register ahead of the 2027 general election. At this news conference to flag off the exercise, the National Commissioner in charge of voter education gives the assurances of the Commission to deliver credible elections in 2027.
We wish to assure Nigerians that the Commission remains committed to conducting a transparent, credible, inclusive and technology-driven electoral process that meets the earnings of citizens. We call on all stakeholders, whether they are civil society organizations, religious and traditional rulers, to support this exercise by creating awareness and encouraging all eligible citizens to register.
A similar exercise in 2023 saw a rise in the number of registered voters from 84 million to over 93.4 million. However, only 24.9 million people, representing 26.7% of that number, voted in the 2023 general election. Nonetheless, election monitoring groups are hoping that there will be an improvement in 2027.
It's not just enough that, we create this center for registration. There must also be strategy in place to ensure that it translates to people collecting their PVC, and more importantly, that it increases the percentage of voter turnout. Voter turnout, has continued to decline for varying factors within our democracy. But to ensure that opportunity is provided, there's no excuse for Nigerians. I mean, if INEC is doing this, there is no excuse anymore for not registering for your permanent voter's card.
Some of the registrants also have their expectations.
There are so many rumors of rigging and the rest. We don't want rigging this time. We want, when we vote, our vote counts. So that is why we are coming out to make sure that we get the voter's card and we get everything ready. And this time of these elections, I know it's going to be a tough one, but my expectation is whom I vote, I need to see that my vote counts.
I think a lot of the time when rigging takes place and INEC is complicit, they're not exactly thinking about the masses. My demands of INEC, have a heart.
As the nationwide voter registration begins, INEC is hoping that more eligible citizens will come and register and participate in the 2027 general election.
Still to come on the news at 10, Nigeria's oil production hits a 6-year high as output rises to 1.56 million barrels per day for the month of June. And that's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. Nigerians in positions of authority have again been counseled to put the people first in order for citizens to feel the positive impact of decisions made on their behalf. This was a central plea made as the 3-day Lagos Leadership Conference with the theme Leading Beyond Self, which attracted the clergy, business leaders, entrepreneurs, professionals, emerging leaders from across Nigeria and beyond, came to a close right here in Lagos.
This is the culmination of the 2026 Lagos Leadership Conference being held at Kilometer 15 Lekki-Ekpe Expressway, Lagos. With the theme Leading Beyond Self, the conference brings together notable thought leaders from Nigeria and beyond, business executives, ministers, as well as other experts. Speakers take cues from the theme of the conference, as the first, who is a strategic management expert, situates where leadership should be focused on.
Create lasting value for your organization, for your community, and for future generations. So it's not about me, I, and my family. No. It's not about let people serve me. It's about who can I serve? How do I develop others? And who have I empowered?
Other speakers used their time to point out where the responsibility to change Nigeria lies, as well as the possibility of that positive shift happening.
Change people from inside out and shape who they finally become. And the institution we are given to assist us is the family and the church and the educational system. Then the parents doing the same thing at home. Make sure that nothing comes out of your house that is a problem to society.
The potentials of this country are amazing. And I have a feeling that today, God is about to put things right, put things in place. Say hallelujah, somebody. God is about to put things in place. God is about to revive the original dreams, the original passion. Receive this anointing, and every vision that has died comes to life again.
The convener seizes the opportunity to counsel Nigerian leaders to look beyond themselves, a call in tandem with the theme of the conference.
We want those that have been given the privilege of leadership to begin to look beyond themselves, beyond personal gains, beyond personal comforts, and beyond personal ambition. If we begin to do that, then suddenly, number one, the entirety of the organizations or the nation as a will benefit. Things will begin to change.
It is believed that the gathering will arm leaders across various sectors with the principles, values, and practical tools required to lead with purpose, impact, and service for the betterment of Nigerians.
Let's continue the news at 10 now as we head to the nation's capital, Abuja, where Millicent Nwaka is standing by for more. Hello, Millicent. I sincerely apologize for that. And we come back right here in Lagos. A former Minister of Science and Technology, Mr. Nnaji, has pleaded not guilty to a 6-count charge on allegations of forging academic credentials from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and a National Youth Service Corps discharge certificate submitted during his ministerial screening in 2023, as well as money laundering charges. Mr. Nnaji, who was arraigned before Justice Joyce Abdulmalik of the Federal High Court, Abuja, by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, the ICPC. Well, the judge also granted him a 20 million naira bail and one surety in like sum. Our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, reports.
The former Minister of Science and Technology arrived at Federal High Court Abuja beaming with smiles ahead of his arraignment by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission on alleged certificate forgery and money laundering. He is accompanied by his close associates. At the day's proceedings, he pleaded not guilty to the 6-count charge. Shortly after taking his plea, his counsel, Mr. James Nnaji, told the court that he had a motion for bail. Counsel for the prosecution did not object to the bail, stating that it was at the discretion of the court. Mr. Abdulmalik subsequently granted him bail in the sum of 20 million naira and one surety in like sum. According to the court, the surety must be a federal civil servant not below grade level 15 and have maintained a fixed place of residence for at least 4 years. The court directed that the relevant authority be notified to verify the surety's employment status. The defendant was also ordered to deposit his international passport and other travel documents with the court. Justice Joyce Abdulmalik subsequently adjourned the case to September 21 for commencement of trial. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Tajuddin Abbas, has praised the current FCT administration for the rapid developmental strides recorded in the nation's capital in the last 3 years. Speaking during the flag-off ceremony of a 7-kilometer access road from Tunga Madaki and Abuja-Kaduna Expressway, the Speaker says that Abuja has never had a leader like the current FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, who is intentional about driving development in the territory. Our correspondent, Kobi Abuluwadi, reports.
Gathered here at Tunga Madaki along the airport road in Abuja are dignitaries from both the public and private sector, particularly top management staff of the FCT administration, to witness the flag-off ceremony of this phase 2 of road construction from Tunga Madaki to Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. The road is an extension of the recently commissioned 7 kilometers access road from Bill Clinton Drive along the airport road to Tunga Madaki.
This second stage of the road, which is another 7 kilometers, will effectively link the Bill Clinton Drive to the Federal Highway A2, which is the Kaduna-Abuja-Lokoja Highway. It will also link several communities along this road.
The Minister of the FCT speaks on the importance of the road to the development of the nation's capital.
What we are doing today is to fulfill that promise that Mr. President has made, that during his time, all satellite towns, all area councils will have the attention of his government. You can imagine that people from Suba no longer will pass through Gwagwalada straight to the airport. From the airport, that the city. And that is what the people want.
The special guest of honor is President Bola Tinubu. However, he's been represented at the event by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who further stresses on the significance of the project.
This new road will link Tunga Madaki directly to the Abuja-Kaduna road, cutting travel time, reducing vehicle maintenance costs, and opening a faster route for people and goods. It will connect rural productivity to urban opportunities.
He also acknowledges the efforts of the current FCT administration in driving rapid development in the territory.
Abuja has never seen a better leader, a better administration than this one. Everyone who comes to Abuja and everyone who compares Abuja of today and Abuja of yesterday will see the clear difference. That our minister is really a working minister. We wish him all the best.
Done with his speech, he proceeds to officially flag off the project. The project, when completed, is expected to provide an alternative route for those commuting along the airport road to Zuba, as well as Kaduna and Kogi State. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
Let's now delve into the world of business, where Will Ebong is standing by to bring us those stories. Over to you, Will. Thank you, Anne. Nigeria's crude oil production rose to an average of 1.56 million barrels per day in June, and its highest level in about 6 years. And that's according to the latest OPEC monthly oil market report. And the June output increased from 1.53 million barrels per day recorded in May and remained above Nigeria's production quota set by the OPEC region. Now, the higher production helped Nigeria retain its position as Africa's largest oil producer ahead of Libya. Meanwhile, drilling activity also improved, with the country's active rig count rising from 17 to 18. And this comes as global benchmark crude price Brent jumped by over 5% today to $80 per barrel. Now, Britain and Switzerland have agreed a new post-Brexit
trade deal aimed at expanding services trade and making it easier for businesses and professionals to operate across both countries. Now, the agreement allows visa-free business travel of up to 90 days a year, eases long-term staff transfers, removes mobile roaming charges, and gives British travelers access to electronic passport gates in Switzerland. Now, the UK government says the deal could boost annual exports by £5.2 billion, describing it as the country's most significant services trade agreement to date. Meanwhile, the domestic equities market opened the new week on a negative note as investors sold Boa Cement. Here's Laddie Williams with the highlights.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. It was another week, another Naira, and it kicks off with profit taking from the last drop we saw on Friday. This time almost 1%, about 0.84% down, 241,000 for the all share index. And we see market cap sitting at 155 trillion. Now, what's to see volume and value of trades? That was more than the last session, showing that this was, heavy profit taking today. For the tier one banks, most of the names there that make up the fugas, they're down. The Axis score there holding up 0.20%, but a big drop with First Hold Code there 5.20%. Let's look at the sectors that we track now. Industrial goods, that was under pressure today with Boa Cement down a full 10%. Then we also got that news today. Lafarge Africa officially changed their ticker to HBMNG. So if you see that, don't be alarmed right there for industrial goods. So key data to watch this week. Inflation data for June, that's coming up this Wednesday, and investors are gearing up for Q2 earnings season.
Thank you, Laddie. Let's check out the closing numbers for other major stock markets now. And that's business news, and Will Ibang is back to Anne for more on the news at 10. Thank you, Will. And outside our shores, U.S. President Donald Trump says that the United States is reinstating its blockade of Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz beginning immediately, posting on Truth Social. President Trump says the U.S. will be the guardian of the vital waterway and impose a 20% charge on all cargo shipped to pay for the cost of safety and security. Let's now join Savan Pusey with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A huge fire has torn through a bar in Bangkok, killing at least 27 people and leaving 25 critically injured. The blaze started near the stage of the bar in the popular Chatuchak district, then spread rapidly, cutting power and engulfing the room with smoke. Footage posted online shows panicked customers screaming as they fled, some with their clothes on fire.
I asked one musician.
Firefighters who arrived at the scene just after midnight quickly extinguished the fire. They found the bodies of most of the victims in a bathroom where they had apparently sought shelter. The US says it has hit dozens of Iranian military targets in overnight attacks in response to Iran hitting commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. No commercial vessels have crossed the vital waterway since yesterday evening, according to ship tracking data. The US military says it struck air defense systems, coastal radar sites, missile and drone capabilities and small boats using aircraft, ships and drones, including one-way attack sea drones for the first time.
I think it's unfortunate that Iran started this next round by violating the terms of the MOU and attacking civilian targets. The United States is appropriately responding. I hope it doesn't go beyond where we are right now. I hope cooler minds will prevail.
2 firefighting planes have been rushed to the Paris region to tackle a large wildfire south of the French capital. The Fontainebleau forest blaze, described by officials as virulent and of exceptional scale, partially closed the country's main south highway, disrupting traffic during the first major weekend getaway of the summer. Early on Monday, officials said the fire had raced across 800 hectares and was still spreading in the forest around 40 miles southeast of the city of Paris. The Paris region is suffering its third heat wave this year, during a summer in which temperature records have broken in several countries across Europe. At least 51 people have died and more than 1 million have been affected by heavy rainfall in Bangladesh. Thousands have lost their homes as flash floods and landslides hit large parts of the country. More than half the deaths so far have occurred in Cox's Bazar, home to a large Rohingya refugee population. Last week, several students and a teacher were killed in that district when floodwaters swept through their school. Bangladesh is a low-lying country that has many rivers and often sees heavy rain and floods during its annual monsoon season. But experts warn that climate change has made rainfall more intense and more frequent. A powerful typhoon has made landfall in China, the second to hit the country in a week, with nearly 2 million people evacuated from areas in the path of the storm. Typhoon Bavi, which spans 1,000 kilometers at its widest point, roughly the width of France, first came ashore in the coastal city of Taizhou on Saturday evening before making a second landfall in Wenzhou around midnight. After pummeling a chain of remote Japanese islands, it brought heavy rainfall to Taiwan as it brushed past its northern tip. Earlier landslides triggered by the storm killed at least 17 people in the Philippines. CCTV footage from a coffee shop in the Ukrainian city of Sumy shows the moment people threw themselves to the floor as explosions were heard nearby. Surveillance cameras showed 3 different angles from the scene, 1 outside the shop and 2 inside. As soon as the explosions stopped, people ran inside where customers were queuing by the counter. 5 people were killed, including a 13-year-old girl, and at least 30 were injured when glide bombs hit the northeastern city of Sumy. And the actor Sam Neill, known for his roles in the Jurassic Park films, has died at the age of 78. In 2023, Neill said he had been diagnosed with cancer, but in April this year revealed he was cancer-free. One of his most recent roles was playing the Belfast police chief in Peaky Blinders. He also had roles in The Piano, The Hunt for Red October, and Event Horizon. His family say the loss was sudden and unexpected, adding he died in Sydney surrounded by family. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's Super Falcons training camp in Casablanca opens earlier today ahead of the Women's African Cup of Nations in Morocco. 9 players are currently in camp with Captain Rasheedat Ajibade, one of the early birds. Others are Asisat Oshoala, Chiamaka Nadoze, Glory Ogbonna, Christy Uchebe, Fatima Oloko, and Oluwatosin Demay. We also have Rafia Timoran and Shukurat Oladipo. Coach Justin Madugu picked 25 players for the tournament, which begins on the 26th of July, while Nigeria will begin a title defense on the 28th against Malawi before taking on Zambia on August the 1st, and the final Group C game against Egypt on the 5th of August in Rabat. Xavi Alonso has urged Chelsea to develop a hunger for victory in his first press conference as Blues boss at Stamford Bridge. The 44-year-old also shared his opinions on the ongoing World Cup, his memories from his own involvement in Spain's triumph in 2010. Now to the World Cup. Lamine Yamal is hoping to emulate Kylian Mbappe by winning the World Cup as a teenager, but first his Spain side will have to get past France in Tuesday's semi-final. When Mbappe scored in France's win over Croatia in Russia 2018, he was 19 years old and 207 days old, becoming the second teenager to score in a World Cup final after a 70-year-old Pelé in 1958. Yamal, who is playing in his first World Cup, scored a stunning goal in the Euro 2024 semi-final 2-1 win over France before his 17th birthday. Meanwhile, France President Emmanuel Macron has announced on his social media handle that a minute silence will be observed before the match in tribute to the victims of the Nice attack of July 14, 2016. The two sides meet in Dallas on the 10th anniversary of the attack, which saw 86 people killed and more than 400 injured when a truck driver plowed into a crowd leaving a Bastille Day fireworks display in the southern French city. Sports is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. Governor Seyi Makinde received 44 rescued or re-abducted victims, pledged medical care, rehabilitation, and a safe reunification with families as recovery began under Oyo government support. Also, families, dignitaries, and political leaders honored former President Muhammadu Buhari at his one-year remembrance as Vice President Kashim Shettima extolled his integrity, selflessness, simplicity, and enduring nation legacy. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawade. Good night and stay safe.